Most people talk to their cats in ways that seem affectionate to humans, but feel confusing or even overwhelming to a feline sensibility. Yet there are 3 simple phrases that shift the entire emotional atmosphere between you and your cat. Phrases that soften their guard, pull them closer, and activate a type of trust that most humans never experience. One of these phrases uses treats in a way that has nothing to do with bribing behavior and everything to do with building a long-term emotional anchor. When used correctly, these 3 cues reshape the way your cat interprets your presence. Cats respond to sound differently than humans, and studies on feline vocal perception show that cats react more to emotional tone, rhythm, and gentleness than to the literal meaning of words. Understanding this changes everything, because once you adjust the way you speak, your cat begins to interpret your voice as something familiar, predictable, and safe. After this video, your cat will not only react differently to you, but will gravitate towards you with a new level of confidence and closeness. If you enjoy discovering what truly strengthens your bond with your cat, subscribe and stay with me. Cats are guided by subtle cues, not volume. They read intention in the length of a breath, in the warmth of a tone, and even in the calmness between your words. This is why the next moments are so important. The first phrase you are about to learn works even if your cat is independent, cautious, or usually tends to ignore verbal attention. These phrases are designed to reach the emotional part of the feline brain that decides whether you feel like a companion or a potential disruption. And the third phrase especially changes how your cat perceives shared quiet moments.
The first phrase that may be quietly blocking your cat from getting closer to you is the one you probably say without thinking. The phrase you use when you want your cat to approach but end up sounding a little rushed or unsure. Cats read this tension immediately, and instead of moving toward you, they pause and evaluate whether your intention feels truly safe. Cats are extremely sensitive to emotional temperature, and when you speak in a tone that feels hurried, uneven, or expectant, your cat interprets it as uncertainty. To reverse this, there is a phrase that works as an immediate signal of safety, a simple set of words that tells your cat you are calm, predictable, and emotionally steady. The phrase is, "It's okay, come here." It may sound ordinary at first, but what changes everything is the way it reaches a part of your cat's memory that associates slow, warm sounds with early life comfort. Kittens respond to steady, low vocal patterns from their mothers. Adult cats carry that imprint for life, which means your tone does more than communicate. It regulates their internal state. When you use this phrase with a smooth, unbroken rhythm, your cat experiences a drop in alertness and a rise in trust. The correct way to use it is slow, soft, and low, almost like you are settling the air around you. Avoid lifting your pitch at the end of the sentence, because cats interpret sharp changes as stimulation rather than reassurance. Say it once or twice, not repeatedly, allowing your cat a moment to process. Many people overcall, and the repetition creates pressure rather than invitation. When used properly, this phrase becomes a doorway. It tells your cat that approaching you is safe, comfortable, and free of tension. In their mind, it forms a quiet message. You don't have to be on guard with me.
The second phrase that might be limiting your bond without you realizing it is the one you use around treats, a phrase that often sounds too excited, too loud, or too inconsistent. Cats pick up on this unpredictability, and instead of creating connection, it turns the moment into noise rather than comfort. Treats carry emotional weight for cats, but not because of the flavor alone. What truly strengthens the bond is the predictability of the moment. When the sound of your voice pairs consistently with a calm, positive experience, your cat creates an internal marker that says this specific tone means comfort, not tension. That is the beginning of a deeper connection. The phrase is treat time for you. Its power has nothing to do with excitement. It works precisely because it is not loud, not rushed, and not exaggerated. When you speak slowly, gently, and with a steady tone, your cat interprets it as stability. This kind of softness tells the feline brain that what comes next is safe and pleasant. Cats build emotional memory through patterns. When the same phrase, spoken in the same way, comes before a small reward, it becomes a symbol of trust rather than a cue for food. This is not a phrase for training. It is not meant to convince your cat to obey or behave. It is a ritual, a bonding moment that says your presence is reliable. Use the same words every time and keep the tone low and warm. Offer a single, small treat during calm periods, not as a daily expectation, but as a shared gesture. Overuse weakens the emotional meaning. Subtlety is what makes this cue powerful. With time, something important begins to happen. Your cat starts reacting to your voice before noticing the treat itself. That shift reveals that the emotional association has outgrown the reward. Your voice becomes the anchor. In the language of feline attachment, that is one of the strongest forms of connection a human can build. The third phrase that may be quietly limiting your bond is the one you use during calm moments. The moments when your cat wants closeness, but your voice carries a tone that feels detached or unsteady. Cats are deeply affected by vocal warmth during quiet interactions, and the wrong tone can interrupt a connection that was already forming. Quiet moments are the emotional core of feline bonding. When your cat settles near you, stretches out, or rests its head in your direction, it is not simply relaxing, it is checking whether your presence feels consistent. Cats listen for softness in those moments. They pay attention to tone more than meaning, and a steady voice can deepen attachment in ways most people overlook. The phrase is, "I'm here. It's just us." What makes this phrase so powerful is not the words themselves, but the emotional signal behind them. Cats respond strongly to long, gentle vocal tones because they mirror the low-frequency sounds associated with belonging. When spoken slowly, this phrase signals that nothing around them requires alertness. It tells your cat that this moment is safe, that your attention is grounded, and that the space you share is free of tension. The correct way to use it is almost like a soft breath. Whisper it or speak it with a smooth, rhythmic pace. Avoid sharpness or speed because that creates stimulation instead of calm. Use it when your cat curls beside you, during bedtime, or when they seem uncertain and seek closeness. Anxious cats respond especially well because the tone helps regulate their internal state. Over time, the phrase becomes more than reassurance. It becomes an emotional cue. To your cat, it begins to translate as, "You are my safe place." This is why cats who hear this kind of steady communication often rest deeper, blink slower, and stay close longer. The phrase aligns with what they naturally seek: stability, rapt, and calm attention.
When you place these three phrases into real moments, their effect becomes clearer. Imagine your cat hesitating at the hallway entrance, watching you, but unsure if it should come closer. That is where the first phrase settles the air and pulls them in with quiet confidence. Picture a late afternoon when your cat wanders near the kitchen, not demanding food, but seeking interaction. The treat phrase, spoken softly and predictably, turns that moment into connection instead of noise. And think about the evenings when your cat settles beside you, half asleep, but still listening. The bonding phrase transforms that stillness into trust that grows with every repetition. When you compare these scenes with the way most people speak to their cats, the contrast becomes obvious. Many rely on fast calling, sharp tones, or overly excited sounds that push the cat away emotionally. These three phrases do the opposite. They slow down the moment, reduce tension, and make your cat feel understood instead of overstimulated. This is why, once you start using them correctly, you notice your cat approaching sooner, staying longer, and relaxing deeper.
There are a few habits that quietly weaken communication with your cat, and understanding them helps the phrases work even better. The first is raising your voice, even slightly, when calling your cat. A louder tone does not translate as interest, it translates as pressure. Cats are wired to avoid sudden intensity, and volume interrupts the emotional clarity of the moment. The second habit is using high-pitched excitement. Even when the intention is affection, sharp tones activate alertness, not comfort, and your cat becomes more focused on the sound than on the meaning. The third habit is fast, repetitive calling. This creates a sense of urgency your cat cannot interpret, and instead of inviting them closer, it pushes them into hesitation. These patterns overstimulate a cat's senses. They create noise where calmness should be, and they replace trust with confusion. When you remove these habits and replace them with steady, low, predictable phrasing, your cat finally has space to respond at its own rhythm. And that is where bonding actually happens, not through intensity, but through consistency. Cats do not bond through words. They bond through the feeling carried inside those words. Every phrase you speak becomes part of the emotional atmosphere your cat associates with you. When your tone is steady, warm, and consistent, your cat begins to relax in your presence in ways that are subtle at first, but unmistakable over time. You start seeing slower blinks, softer approaches, longer moments of stillness beside you, and that quiet loyalty only a cat can express. If these phrases helped you understand your cat on a deeper level, support the channel by subscribing. It is a small gesture that allows me to keep creating content that strengthens the relationship you share with your cat. Leave a like if this video brought you new insight, and tell me in the comments which phrase your cat reacted to the most. Your engagement helps this community grow and brings more people into a space where cats are understood, respected, and truly heard. I will see you in the next video.